You may be wondering what it takes to achieve a much more natural sound when you speak in American English, but you're not sure what exactly you need to do to improve. Well, today we're going to be listening to your audio files and giving you feedback so that way you know exactly what it is that you need to work on. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, guys. Welcome to your American English Accent Review Show, which is the Schwa Mill. We are here Monday, Tuesday, and Friday right around 7:30 a.m. New York to take a look at the accent files that you send us. And to guide you in this process, there is me. Hi, my name is Geoff. It rhymes with breath. That's one of the four keys to a natural sound in American English: including placement, pitch, breath. Trying to weaken your consonant sounds in order to strengthen your vowels. I have two more files for us to be taking a look at today. I'm also here to help answer any questions that you send to us in the stream or in the comments afterwards or a future stream. Let's take a look at our first file and give some feedback. Here is the first one.
We value our customers and are committed to providing quality support.
All right, we're going to take another look at that again, but think about what feedback you would give. Hello to Lisa's here. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And also, Shahzad's back as well. Thank you so much for being with us too. We're going to take, I believe, actually, look at one of the files is yours. Let's take a listen to this one again, though.
We value our customers and are committed to providing quality support.
Okay. The biggest point of feedback that I can give for this file is contrast. And right now, what's happening is you're giving me a lot of patterns that are by themselves natural and I don't really have much problem with. The issue comes when those patterns start reappearing and reappearing and reappearing and reappearing and reappearing. And I want to try to identify you some patterns so that way you can start listening to yourself and knowing what to listen for. Let's identify a couple of these patterns.
We value our customers and are committed to providing.
Okay, so the very first concept that needs to be familiar with are thought groups. Thought groups are basically how you chunk your sentence, how you group words together as you talk. And in American English, we can have thought groups. Some of the thought groups that we use are going to be very, very long. So for instance, what I did there, some of the thought groups that we are going to use, that's one thought group, are very, very long. That's the second thought group. So notice that that first one I gave was really long. Some of the thought groups are going to be used. And then the second part's really short, very, very long. Okay. The issue comes in, and I see this very often with students when we're just using, very often it's like 3-word thought groups, 2-word thought groups, sometimes 4-word thought groups, but just over and over again. So let me play that first part again and just kind of see where the chunking is, okay?
We value our customers and are committed to providing quality.
Okay, we value thought group, our customers, thought group, and are committed thought group to valuing thought groups. So notice that every single thought group we have is like 2 words, 3 words. And one of the things that's happening in combination with this is that as you're transitioning from thought group to thought group, you're just repeating also the same pitch pattern as well.
We value our customers and are committed to providing quality.
We value our customers and are committed to providing. So see that like the pitch range we're using is also very limited. So you have these short thought groups. You're hitting me with these like 2 to 3 word sections. When you have a short thought group over and over again, that means that you have lots of stresses in a very short space. We value our customers and are committed to providing. Like, so it's just like bam, 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 bam. I just feel like I'm getting punched in the face like over and over again because the thought groups are so short and we or just have stress, 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 stress. Not only that, but the pitches are never changing. So it's like I talk like this over and over again, and I just keep doing this. That's the effect that this has when you have short thought groups and you don't change the pitch. Conversely, let me show you an example of what this would sound like if we maybe varied our thought group length a little bit more. Maybe incorporated a longer thought group and then some shorter ones.
We value our customers and are committed to providing quality.
We value our customers and are committed to valuing. So notice what I'm doing now. That first thought group, instead of say we value our customers, I say we value our customers. We value our customers. So now I've taken those two thought groups and grouped them into a single thought group. And that is going to allow you to flow. One of the things you could think about with thought groups too, think of yourself when you're saying sentences, you're like a pilot. You have a plane and you can either land on the short runway that's like really small, or you can land on like the long runway. Now, I've never flown a plane, but I imagine that if I were a pilot, I would rather land on a long runway than on a short runway. A short runway is much more challenging. Okay. So try to lengthen at least some of the thought groups that you're using in your speech. And it's going to help a lot. If you're using short thought groups, one way that you can help it sound more natural is to change the pitch. When you change the thought group, change the pitch. Change the thought group, change the pitch. Change the pitch when you change the thought group. Things like that. So to give you an example of what that would sound like.
We value our customers and are committed to providing.
We value our customers and are committed to providing. Do you see that every thought group now I have a different pitch level? We value our customers and are committed to providing. Versus we value our customers, are committed to providing. We value our customers and are committed to providing. Things like that. Okay. So those are just two suggestions I would have for you. Longer thought groups and then more pitch change. All right. Thank you so much for sending us that file. Thanks for sending me your voice. It takes some courage to do that. So I appreciate people sending in their files. I think I can hear some breath in resonance and flow here. So I think you have a solid basis. Just adding some of these pitch changes and changing up the thought groups is going to have a very dramatic impact on your speech if you're just able to do those two things. All right, before we take a look at our second file, I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor. Our sponsor is me. So I have a program called Magnet Lab, which in fact you can see a link here. What happens in Magnet Lab? Students send us, kind of like today, people send us audio files and video files. And what we do is we spend 15 minutes per class looking at one file. So we go in depth. We talk about things like pitch. We talk about things like breath and things like that. And we look at a maximum of 2 files per class. So if you would like to work with me in a much, instead of all of the internet, in a much more concentrated setting with a small, consistent group of people who are all working on the same goal of not only better communication, but more confidence when speaking, more confidence on camera or when recording, and also just becoming a more natural speaker in American English, I would encourage you to check it out. We have half-hour sessions Monday through Friday. And if you want to see more of what this is like, you can go to fluentamerican.com/magnetlab down there. And I hope to work with you in that capacity. Okay. Alyssa is fired up from our first file. Let's take a look at our second one here.
A lot of the people think they have you figured out when they don't even know the half of it.
Okay, I'm gonna play that again. Think about the feedback that you would give if you're in my chair, you were listening to this. What feedback would you give?
A lot of the people think they have you figured out when they don't even know the half of it.
Okay, some things I really like. I can hear. We talked a lot about pitch changes in the previous file, and I'm hearing a little bit more pitch movement in this one. See if you can catch that as well.
A lot of the people think they have you figured out when they don't even know the half of it.
You can hear the thing I like. You can hear that drop in pitch, especially like on that when that's towards the middle, and then it goes up again like they, and also like the a lot. So compare the pitch where the pitch is on a lot, and then where the pitch drops to for the when. So we have a pretty solid range here. I would encourage you to continue pushing it. I think we could still even go a little higher just listening to your voice, and we could also go a little bit lower as well. Those are some opportunities here. I think we also have a greater mix of the thought groups. Lisa's telling me, t-shirt mode, this is good. She's saying the rhythm is there. There is some rhythm here. What can we do to further strengthen this?
A lot of the people think they have you figured out when they don't even know the half of it.
Okay. just a quick grammar note too. You want to say like a lot of the people think. You could just say a lot of people think when you're talking about people in general. You don't need the article. Just make it plural. The biggest thing that's standing out to me is placement. We are really high. Sometimes we're even nasally. And I'll try to identify some of those moments for you.
A lot of the people think they have you figured out when they don't even know the half of.
Oh, do that no. So I'm kind of like talking through my nose. Like a lot of people think they have, no versus no. You hear the difference? No, 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 no. Do you hear the difference? The difference there is entirely based off of placement. If you're not sure what placement refers to, placement is the location of where we are projecting sound from. There's many different possible placements. Like for instance, like right now, I'm talking through my nose, or no, I'm talking through my lips. Right now, I'm kind of like top of throat, back of mouth, and now I'm more at my natural placement, engaging the diaphragm a bit more. Okay. And so Alyssa mentions also a bit nasally. Exactly. Okay. Nasally, we have two L's. Two L's. Okay. And so I'm glad you bring this up. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Also, I know that you saw the workshop, which is great. So hope you found that helpful. So this is one of the things that can happen with placement is that if you use the wrong placement, what can end up happening is it can change what a vowel sounds like to someone. Like for instance, there's a lot of confusion between I sounds and E sounds in American English, like slip versus sleep. A lot of people are saying sleep when they mean to say slip. But rather than necessarily being an issue with tongue position, a lot of times that has to do with placement. Because if I say with a high placement, like E, like like it can make the I sound like an E sound. Okay. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing happen here with now. Is I think the placement is just so high that that the vowel is changing to sound closer to other vowels. For instance, like a word like thou sounded now.
A lot of the people think they have you figured out when they don't even know the half of it.
Like now versus no. Okay. So I think it's a placement thing. The other thing I would say too so this O sound in no is a diphthong. And the way a lot of other languages treat diphthongs is diphthongs have two parts, so you pronounce both parts. And my guess is you probably have this diphthong in your first language as well, but it probably sounds a little bit different. For instance, this O sound, a lot of languages sound like oh, oh, oh. But in American English, when we have diphthongs, I would encourage you instead to think of it as trying to squeeze two sounds into a single sound. So instead of doing that oh, doing it more oh. So instead oh, just do so we're trying to like compress the two sounds together, and I think that'll give you a more natural sound in that regard. Okay. If we can keep the placement consistently lower for this, I think you're going to be very, I don't want to say shocked, but you're going to definitely notice a difference in how this whole thing sounds. And I think it begins from the very first word. If we can get our placement right from the beginning, we can try to stay there the entire time. So let's see what the first part of this is.
A lot of the people think they have you.
Like a lot of people, we're just so high. So like take that little phrase, like a lot of, and then just try to move it down 5 times. Like a lot of, 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 a lot of. Okay. So like, do you hear how like that first one and that last one sound pretty different? A lot of versus a lot of. Okay. Some other things that are going to help with this. Resonance. Engaging the diaphragm, where we talk about your diaphragm. Let me adjust my camera a little bit. So like your diaphragm, what's a good angle to get this? Is like kind of located like here. So your lungs and your chest are here, your stomach's here. So it's kind of like in between. We want to try to engage that body part a little bit more. Because right now your lungs are doing so much of your work right now. So your lungs, you probably go to bed at night very tired. Your lungs are like, oh my gosh, I need a break. Because they're doing all the lifting for you. So just to try to engage your diaphragm. So just like, for instance, put your hands on your stomach and just like breathe. Just like, again. And then try doing like an ah sound. So like, ah. Again. Ah. Okay, so let's try to use that. So in one breath, just that slow, controlled release, try to say a lot of, okay? And try to get all that breath and resonance, like a lot of. And if you still find that hard, try, and this is not going to, I don't want you to talk like this. It's just an exercise. I want you to keep your mouth as wide as possible. Do you see how wide my mouth is? Can you say that with your mouth that wide as well? Okay. The last thing I'll say, there are going to be some consonant sounds, and Shazad says, "Wow, that's a great difference." Yeah, exactly. Right. So imagine we do this for an entire sentence. And Elisa's saying, "What if we get excited?" I'm not saying to always speak with a low placement, but the problem is that the low placement is kind of, every language has a default placement. The low placement is the default for American English, okay? And there's going to be times it's going to deviate. There's going to be times where it moves to a different spot. That's true. But at some point, it's going to return. And the problem is, in this audio, we never return to a low placement. We stay high the entire time. The default is high.
A lot of the people think they have you figured out when...
So there's no resonance. Everything is like either nasally or like kind of like this part of the mouth or higher. So it's impossible to get a natural sound that way in American English. Everything's going to sound a little bit off. Everything's going to like, it's almost like if I were to like talk like this versus if I were to like talk, like this. The last thing I'll say on this is you have to be careful of some consonant sounds, because some consonants, what they will do is they will try to raise your placement higher. Some consonants you need to watch out for are like the letters L and N and M. Like you're probably used to saying like a lot. You're probably doing something like that. One of the reasons I like a dark L sound is because it stops that. So when you say L sounds, keep the tip of your tongue down against the bottom of your mouth. So like instead of saying a lot, do like a lot. It's going to let more air through. Okay. Same thing with the letter N. The letter N does not make a n like no versus no. So again, I would say tip of your tongue down against your bottom front tooth. Instead of that n, try to do more like a n. Hear a difference between n and Okay. So if you're using a higher placement N sound, it's going to color whatever comes after it. It's going to impact what other value you put after it. So try to, when you're doing these consonant sounds like L's and N's and things, try to start with the lower placement, and I think that will help a lot. Okay. So that's why in this audio file, like when you're saying a lot, like lot, I would say versus a lot with the lower tongue position, and like now versus no. So the lower tongue positions may help with those two areas.
A lot of the people think they have you figured out when they don't even know the half of it.
Yeah, versus like no. Just having that lower tongue position may help a lot. Okay. All right, guys. I hope you found that helpful. Thank you so much to all of our friends who sent us some audio files today. We greatly appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow morning around 7:30 a.m. New York to do another round of accent reviews. And we'll also be back on Friday at this time. If you want to work on your communication with me every single day of the week, Monday through Friday, check out the Magnet Lab program. I think you guys will really enjoy not only working with other people as they improve their communication, but yourself, because you're going to see immediate growth. I guarantee it. Shazad says, thank you so much for feedback. Appreciate it. And make sure to apply your tips in my future work. Let's go. I am excited for where your journey takes you. Hope you guys have a good day, have a good night, and a good afternoon, and thank you for being here. There's a lot of pronunciation resources out there, so the fact you spent some time with me during your day is appreciated. I'll see you next time.